Sociological theory is just different ways of looking and studying society. There are two main ways of viewing society, just as there are two main ways of viewing this picture. There's something called a top-down perspective and a bottom-up perspective. Okay, so to understand this top-down perspective, we've got a fake society, a fake population of people at the bottom of this image. Okay, the top-down perspective is also known as a macro or a positivist perspective, and that's because it gives an overall view of society as if you're looking down from above. So macro means a large view, so it looks at the big pictures in society, the big issues. So from the top-down perspective, you can understand how many people there are and what people are doing, which is also called social action. It is linked to positivism and quantitative data. Now, this is because this view of society gains numbers about society, which is what we call quantitative data. So if we're going to use our fake population at the bottom of the screen, from the top-down perspective, these are the kind of questions that we would ask. So what is the population then? So from the people at the bottom of the screen, the population is 21. How many blue people are there? There is 10 blue people. What's the purple man doing? Walking his dog. And how many disabled people are there? 1. So these are the kinds of data that the top-down perspective are going to gain, and these are the kind of things that the top-down perspective are interested in. But if I was to ask you to tell me what daily life is like for these people, well, you wouldn't be able to do it because you're not gathering in-depth information from this view of society. You're just gaining numbers about society. So this view believes the institutions in society, like the education system, influences people. It influences people's identities, and therefore individuals, they don't have much choice over their identities and don't have much choice over how they're going to behave in life. That's why this view is sometimes known as a structural view, structural theories, because they are theories that look at the structures in society and see how they influence people. Now, the other main type of theory in sociology is the bottom-up perspective. It is also known as a micro perspective or an interpretivist perspective because it gives a detailed view of a small number of people. And this view believes that individuals have control of their own identities. So it's a non-structural theory. It is a theory that believes individuals control their own identities. So from this view, you can understand why people do things, how people do things. And it is linked to qualitative data, which instead of numbers is words. So we're gaining in-depth information about people. So for example, from the bottom-up perspective, if you're studying homelessness, the top-down view might only find out how many people are homeless, but the bottom-up view could ask, why are you homeless? Which, as you can see here, gives us a lot of in-depth data, so we're going to find out more information from this perspective. And here is another example study for you to read. So from the bottom-up view, we can find out why we have so many people in society who are very rich and so many people in society who are very poor. And again, we're getting really in-depth information from this question. find out about this married couple in our fake population at the bottom of the screen that we couldn't find out from the top-down perspective? You might have answered, well, we can ask them why they got married. Were they forced into it? How does their marriage work? What roles do they have? What does the husband do? What does the wife do? Does the wife stay at home? Does the husband go out to work? And what about this question again? How many disabled people are there? So from the top-down view, we said that in this fake population we can only see one disabled person. But if we're to use the bottom-up view, do you think it's more than one person? So disability does not have to be an obvious thing. It might be a mental disability, which from the top-down perspective we wouldn't find out about due to the lack of detail that we're going to gain from our data. But from the bottom-up view, we could ask the individual members of the population in-depth questions. Okay, so the sociological theories that you're going to study can be divided into these two different ways of studying society. Feminism, Marxism and functionalism all look at society from the top down. They ask questions like, how many people are poor? How many boys are failing at school compared to girls? What is the function of the government? Postmodernists and interactionists are bottom-up theories. They ask questions like, why are they behaving in that way? What is your identity and how is it developed? Each sociological theory has its own area of concern. For example, feminists are concerned with equality of genders. Marxists are concerned with equality for workers and the poor. Functionalists are concerned with how institutions in society work together and influence individuals. Interactionists are concerned with how individuals interact with each other and influence each other. And postmodernists are concerned with how society has changed and how this has affected our identities. So the first theory we're going to look at in more detail in class is functionalism.